Welcome to Retail's Most Wanted, the podcast that examines the latest issues related to organized retail crime and how retailers and policymakers are fighting back against today's organized crime syndicates. I'm your host, Marty Carpenter, and today we'll explore organized retail crime through the lens of someone who's been telling these stories from the front lines for a number of years now. Amber Bradley is the founder of the Calibration Group and the driving force behind TalkLP News, one of the most influential platforms in the loss prevention and asset protection industry. She's built a career helping retailers and law enforcement connect, communicate, and collaborate more effectively, and she's not afraid to ask the hard questions. Today, it's our turn to ask her some questions. That conversation's coming up right after this word from our sponsor. Retail's Most Wanted is brought to you in partnership with LVT, securing physical environments through intelligent automation. Learn more at lvt.com. That's lvt.com. Amber Bradley, thanks so much for taking some time with us.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit first about what you cover with TalkLP, and then I'd love to know what's changed during the time you've covered this.
Yeah, so TalkLP News, we're kind of new. We're a newbie to the loss prevention journalism scene only because it's been, kind of the same old thing for 40 years. So we're really excited to burst onto the scene in 2020. Started with the TalkLP podcast, which is, I host it. I interview a lot of executives, which is really cool. So we deliver the news that LP professionals need fast, without all the fluff. We are the unscripted side of LP. What's cool about that is we can see how the LP narrative has changed through the years. And I would say two things to pick out. One is obviously people are understanding shoplifting is not just shoplifting, it's organized retail crime, and we've been talking about that for years. The other thing is post-COVID, the loss prevention professional is now not only focused on shrink, it has really evolved to not just shrink and loss, but safety, organized retail crime, workplace violence legislation, keeping their employees and customers safe.
I love that you've put together this podcast and then a publication that can help people better understand it. I love the target audience you're going at there. I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about what role do you think that media platforms like TalkLP play in breaking down the silos between retailers and law enforcement?
Yeah, so super complicated, right? Because law enforcement has a job to do, and so does retail loss prevention professionals. But I think that what's cool is TalkLP News is all about building bridges between the two. So as we are providing our content and the highest level news and everything the retail professional needs to know, same with law enforcement. So we try to bridge those communication platforms to where law enforcement can learn more about the retail perspective and vice versa. So super important that we talk to every level of LP and help educate them on what they can do to form real bonds with law enforcement and vice versa.
I wonder if you could give us some idea from your vantage point. What do you think are still the biggest misconceptions that the public or even people in the industry have when it comes to organized retail crime?
Yeah, so it's a little annoying. We've had to educate on the fact that it's not just shoplifting. It's so annoying to have to still say that. The good news is, I think that NRF and RELA has done a lot of great work in truly educating legislatures, attorney generals on understanding the complexities of the organized retail crime issue. And it is not just even a couple layers deep, it's massively deep into terrorism and international crime and all of these things that are really bad stuff. And our retail folks are on the front lines of solving this problem. So I think it's part of the misconception that it's just a few layers deep when it's actually could be linked to human trafficking and all this really bad stuff. And it's amazing that our retail loss prevention professionals are on the front lines of solving it.
Sometimes when you do a show like this, it's not just about, hey, great job. Sometimes it's about telling some hard truths. So I wonder how you balance that, where sometimes you have to tell people hey, we need to do better at this, or hey, this is an area where we're not meeting the level that we should be at, and also keeping people engaged. So sort of telling people what they're doing wrong, but not chasing them away.
Yes. So we love to say we're the unscripted side of LP, which is so true. So I think the common bond that all of our audience have is to keep everyone safe. Customers, employees, everyone has to stay safe, and then also keep their organizations profitable. But the biggest thing is we cut out all the fluff. So if you're a vendor, there's no marketing speak. If you're a retailer, you can't just sigh and say it's all communication. We want real answers, real solutions to real problems. And I think that's partly why people are really getting behind TalkLP News, because it is all about unscripted, real truth, bottom line stuff that I think people appreciate.
Where do you see the cooperation and coordination between law enforcement and retailers working well, and where do you think, from the conversations you're having, where do you think we could do better?
Yeah, so I think working well, organizations like UTORCA here in Utah that we're here. So really getting together, they say pressing the flesh and shaking hands and all that good stuff is you can't go without that personal connection. I think the local orcas are huge, and then you have organizations like CLEAR that are super important in bridging those gaps. But so all of that's the good side. I think the fall short side is just going through to the end of prosecution and trying to get these people off the streets, primarily because it's just a complicated issue jurisdictionally and all of these other laws that change state to state. But there's some organizations, like I mentioned, NRF and RELA and all these other folks that are really trying to get everyone on the same page. So that way maybe it becomes less complex. But yeah, I think the unscripted side is actually bringing to the forefront real partnerships with law enforcement and retailers, like not just lip service of, bring them coffee to the precinct. Like there's some really deep relationships that they can forge by attending stuff like UTORCA, but also, getting really involved.
It's kind of the idea that all politics are retail politics. So you mentioned that we're here at UTORCA. It's going on right above our heads this morning. When you've been to conferences like this, whether it's UTORCA or IL Orca or any of the other orcas or any other type of organization, do you have those moments where you think, we need more of this, putting people in the same room to talk about this, but giving them time to be together as well? Yeah,
I think, like I said, the personal connection, you can't duplicate. And there's some panels that fall short with the whole, just partner with your local law enforcement. Like those conversations should be over. We should really be digging deep into exactly how do you do that. And there's lots of great organizations that can truly partner retail with the community and their, in turn, law enforcement. But yeah, I think that you can't duplicate the personal connection, which is why the local orcas are so important.
Yeah, let's give you the magic wand as we wrap up here. There are problems with communication, legislation, technology, partnerships, everywhere we could be doing better. Give you the magic wand, you can solve one problem. What would you do?
Well, I do think organized retail crime is complex, as I said. One thing that I think we try to uncover, the little things, because I think, what is that saying that's so old? It's like you eat an elephant one bite at a time. Yeah, I think this is a problem you solve the same way. So retail could really do better by not buying their own stolen product back, I would say, which is a big thing in organized retail crime. And you know that because, gosh, there's lots of ways to investigate if you're a retailer and buying back your own stolen product, but it's a whole buyers in an organization getting bonused on a really good deal that they get from a diverter that just happened onto the scene. Right. So I think if retail looks inside themselves a little bit to help solve some of these pretty complex problems, like potentially buying your own stolen product back by, lasering HBC with the company name on it. There's lots of ways you can solve it internally into the retail, which would help the complex nature of partnering with law enforcement, because then you're kind of taking care of your own house. So that's just one magic wand thing. I think there's a bunch, but I would say that's probably one that doesn't get a ton of attention.
And who puts limits on magic wands anyway?
Right.
Tell us about TalkLP. Where can people find it? If the podcast is still going, where can people listen to
it?
Or
Yes,
go
of
back and
course.
listen to it?
TalkLPnews.com for sure. Hit us up. We also have the only industry constantly updating app with all of your organized retail crime news. And you can get the podcast on the app. You find the app anywhere you find your favorite apps. And we look forward to it.
Amber Bradley, thanks so much for the conversation, and thanks for what you're moving forward on your side with TalkLP.
Absolutely, thanks.
That's it for this episode of Retail's Most Wanted. Thanks to our presenting sponsor, LVT, and don't forget to hit that subscribe or follow button so you can catch each new episode. We drop one every 2 weeks. You can also find us on X, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Links for all of those are in the show notes below. Thanks for being with us, everyone, and as always, keep up the good fight.